Hello, happy Friday. Welcome to my channel. I am the work wife. My name is Rachel. And today I'm finally going to get to the topic I've been talking about for the last few weeks, which is labels and why, in the end, they really don't serve you. But before I jump in, I am a workplace and career coach and a mindset coach, and I have nearly 20 years experience in the corporate world and have successfully navigated my way through some seriously toxic work environments. And, the purpose of this channel was to kind of help everyone with their toxic work environments, difficult work situations, toxic boss, coworker, employee, so on and so forth. But in the end, I'm discovering it's all about mindset. So you may have a specific situation that you're dealing with, which I could happy to help you in terms of practical tips and tricks. But at the end of the day, it's really all about your mindset and how you view your particular situation so you can successfully get out of it or work through it. So yeah. So it's a little bit of everything today, I guess. But anyway, I wanted to talk about labels. I've mentioned a few times in previous videos, I think I have talked about ADHD, being an empath, HSP, highly sensitive person, attachment theory, anxiously attached, dismissive avoidant. I've talked about all sorts of different labels and how we view ourselves and how we view others. And yes, it is important and fascinating to dive into that behavioral science and figure out what it is to makes people tick. Their personalities, their learning styles, the way that they approach relationships, the way they approach their jobs, their choice of careers. All of those things are important to understand in order to facilitate communication and better overall relationships. However, the problem with these labels is that they are limiting. So I had a conversation with someone recently, a conversation with two different people recently. One about being an empath with ADHD, whereby you're a people pleaser. That's another label that I've talked about, where you are sensitive to other people's emotions. You feel a deep, deep sense of attunement with someone else, whether it's a friendship or relationship or, work relationship or personal relationship. You feel very empathic, you feel emotions deeply. And then the ADHD part of it is, as part of being a people pleaser, is that you're so eager to help and be there for that other person. You put aside your own needs and you do so almost impulsively. It's like an impulsive thing to say, oh, I'll be there for you, or when do you need me? I'll be there. Or you're saying yes to things without even thinking, knowing full well, deep inside, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be there. You know already, but you've already said yes. And then per my video that I did yesterday, then you feel guilty about backing out on it, even though you know it would be the best thing for you. Right? So that's a label of being an empathetic person with ADHD. Okay, so because I met someone else who described herself that way, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am too. Okay, label number one. Label number two, talking to someone else this morning about overthinking, and he was talking to me about, well, you can't, yes, okay, but stop being a victim to saying you're an overthinker, because there's a meme out there saying if you're an overthinker, you have to be with someone who's a great communicator. Overthinkers require great communicators in romantic relationships. Okay, and everybody's like, yeah, I'm an overthinker and I can't deal with people who don't communicate. Okay, and in some respects this may be true. However, again, this is limiting. When we are quick to call ourselves whatever it is, people pleaser, overthinker, even, anxiously attached, dismissive avoidant. I'm avoidant, like I don't want to deal with emotions. I don't want to deal with vulnerability. My idea of safety is to, keep to myself, because anything that implies vulnerability makes me want to run away. All of these things, right? Again, fascinating to learn about. And if you resonate with one of these things, it's almost like a tarot reading, right? A tarot reader tells you something, you're like, oh my gosh, this is my life, right? And you almost, what you do is you fit yourself, your self-perception, to whatever the other person has labeled you to be. Now, I'm not saying that that resonance for you is invalid. It is. You relate to it based on your personality, the choices you've made, your beliefs, assumptions, etc. The story you've been telling about yourself and other people for who knows how many years. So, of course, if someone tells you something like that, you're like, yes, that's me. Okay. For that moment, you feel validated. For that moment, you feel like you belong. For that moment, you feel seen and you feel heard. However, is that really you? Are you a victim to this self-perception? Is this a fixed perception now? Like, oh, I'm always going to be an overthinker, which is basically anxiety. So are you then now crap-fitting, to steal a term that, I can't remember her name, but there's a YouTuber, I think it's a regular term, but she talks about it a lot, crap-fitting yourself to a label. Because ultimately, labels limit you. So if I say I'm an overthinker, empath with ADHD, what does that mean? That means, am I predestined? Am I destined for the rest of my life to be anxious? Am I destined for the rest of my life to feel so deeply for people who may not have earned that from me? Am I destined to be impulsive? And then I'm in the situation where like, oh, well, I can't stop myself from being impulsive, so maybe I need medication or whatever the case might be. And again, now we're getting into, I need this because I am this. But are you really? Or is that what you're telling yourself? The bottom line is these are all stories that you've told yourself over and over again about you, your relationships, and everything else that feel like they're facts because they've turned into beliefs. That's all beliefs are. Is that you've told yourself and you've told yourself something, or you've thought something over and over and over again until now you believe it. Because when first someone tells you something brand new, a brand new thought or something like that, and you're like, I don't believe it, that's new to me. But if you think about it enough times, and again, as I said, you resonate with it, and you say, oh yeah, this reminds me of something. This might be true. Oh yeah, I experienced that. Okay, so this experience 10 years ago and this experience today, oh, it matches, so it must be true. Maybe not. Because the truth is, you can tell yourself a new story every single second. You can reinvent yourself every single second. You can make the conscious choice, which I've talked about before, about believing something different. And I'm not saying that it's easy. Again, that's kind of a limiting belief too. Maybe it is easy. See how many different ways we limit ourselves in our speech and our thinking? Oh, this is hard. Oh no, that's easy. But that's hard. Well, maybe hard for you, but maybe not hard for me. It's all relative, right? At the end of the day, if you just pause and be present, like Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now is about being present. And if you take a moment and you take a deep breath and you just sit and you think nothing, you clear your mind of thoughts, what's the prevalent feeling that comes up? Without thought, you're calm, you're relaxed. There's nothing there. It's calm, it's peaceful. That's our true nature. That's the truth. That's the truth of everyone's story. It's only because we add things to the bucket. Our past, whether it's good or bad, what our circumstances, our financial circumstances, our personal relationships, our work relationships, everything then that gets added to the bucket. Like when you meditate and then you finish your meditation, and then you get up and you realize you have to do this, and this, then the thoughts re-enter the bucket again and you're filled with anxiety and all these things. That's not who you are. That's the story you're literally just like, you almost put a pause button on the story that you tell yourself day in, day out, and then you put a pause button, you meditate, and you're like, oh, this is wonderful. It's like being in the beach in my head. And then, okay, the meditation's over, and then we're going to start telling the old stories again. But why? Why? Because we feel we have to? Because we feel that validates us? We can make a different choice. And as I was telling this person earlier today about me identifying as an overthinker, I can choose not to overthink. If I start getting anxious about something, I can just say, okay, wait a minute. What am I really worrying about here? Is this really worthy of my time and energy? It's me consciously making a decision to stop. And I know, as I said, me overthinking versus someone else with maybe a deeper, more self-destructive habit, definitely. But in the end, you have to want to address it. You have to become self-aware, mindful of it. If you identify with it in the moment, you think you are it. You are your anxiety. You are you are your sensitivity. You are your avoidance. This is just who I am. I can't change. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You can change just like that and say, you know what, I'm tired of being this person. I'm really tired of it. I'm tired of being anxious. I'm tired of not knowing what my financial situation is about. I'm tired of worrying about what other people think. I'm tired of saying yes to things that I should be saying no to. And when you say you're tired, then you have to make the choice, the actual choice to stop. Because it does no good for you to say, I'm tired of it, and then the next minute someone asks you for a favor, and you're like, oh, okay. So what happened to that? I'm tired. You take action. That is the only way to change the pattern, is to do something different. Once you think differently, you will naturally act differently. But as long as you keep thinking the same thing, you will act the same way. Hence the labels. Hence thinking that it's fact. This is just the way I am. Oh well. Which sucks. If you're not happy with the way you are, tell a new story. Write a new story in this moment. You can do it every single second. Because either you're present, creating something new for yourself, creating a new thought, a new belief in the moment, present, being mindful and self-aware, or you're either focused on the past and depressed about it, or regretful, or frustrated, or why did that happen, whatever, or you're worried about the future. You're anxious about the future. You don't know what's going to happen. You can't control the outcome. You feel out of control, resentful. Similar negative emotions, where you're focused on things the past is gone and the future's not set. So why are we so focused on these two when we can just easily take a breath and be here right now? So I hope this helped. But the point is that in the effort to identify with something that makes you feel better, to belong to something that someone else has told you you are, in the end, you're limiting yourself. And you're condemning yourself to a way of being that may have served you in the past. Because someone told me recently, you wouldn't believe what you believe unless it served you at one time. But if you find yourself, or the way you're living, not the way you want, those beliefs that served you in the past may not be serving you now. And that's the key to, or that's the sign to changing the way you think. And maybe you'll start one by one putting those labels in the trash. So, I hope this helped. If you like this, feel free to give it a thumbs up. I would love it if you subscribed and click that notification bell to let you know for future videos that come out. And in the meantime, happy weekend. Stay cool, stay centered, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.